Hey there, history buffs and lovers of the utterly bizarre. Have you ever stumbled upon a story so strange, so outlandish that you just had to share it? Well, buckle up because this one is a doozy. Imagine this, you open your front door and the mailman hands you a child. Yes, you heard that right, a living, breathing child. No, this isn't a scene from a movie or a quirky novel. It's a real thing that happened in the United States in the early 1900s. Hard to believe, right? Yep, you heard that right. Parents actually mailed their children. They would attach stamps to their kids and send them off with the mailman. Before you freak out and call child services, let's jump into our time machine and explore this strange chapter of American history. Trust me, it's a wild ride. It all started with the advent of the U.S. Parcel Post Service in 1913. This service allowed people to send larger packages than ever before. This new service revolutionized the way Americans sent and received goods. Suddenly, the possibilities seemed endless. But it also opened the door to a practice that seems unimaginable today: mailing kids. Families saw it as a practical solution for sending their children to visit relatives or even to get them to school. Before 1913, sending packages was expensive and complicated. Private companies like Adams Express held a monopoly. Rural communities especially faced high costs and limited access. Then came Parcel Post, a government-run service offering affordable rates and wider reach. It was a game changer. Suddenly, people could send everything from farm-fresh eggs to, well, children, across the country at a fraction of the previous cost. While the idea of mailing kids seems shocking now, back then it was seen as a practical, albeit unusual solution to a common problem: transportation. Life in rural America in the early 20th century was tough. Many families lived far from relatives and essential services. Cars were a luxury few could afford. Trains were expensive, especially for long distances or entire families. This is where Parcel Post came in. It provided a cheaper, if unconventional, alternative. Imagine needing to send your child to grandma's a few towns over. The train fare might wipe out your week's earnings, but for a few cents, you could mail your child. It sounds crazy now, but back then, it was sometimes the most viable option. Section 4. Mailing May and Others. The most famous case of a mailed child is that of May Pierstorff. In 1914, May's parents, living in rural Idaho, wanted to send their 5-year-old daughter to visit her grandmother, who lived 73 miles away. The journey was long and arduous, especially for a young child. The train fare was a whopping $1.55, a significant sum at the time, especially for a rural family with limited means. Parcel Post, on the other hand, cost a mere 53 cents in stamps, making it a much more affordable option for the family. May was mailed with the required postage affixed to her coat, transforming her into a living parcel. She traveled in the care of a railway mail clerk, essentially becoming a package with a heartbeat. The clerk ensured her safety throughout the journey. While May's story is the most well-known, she wasn't alone. Many other children were sent through the mail during this period. There are numerous documented instances of children being mailed through Parcel Post. These stories highlight the lengths to which families would go to stay connected despite the challenges of the time. Section 5. Cheaper than a train ticket. The driving force behind this seemingly outlandish practice was simple economics. Sending a child via Parcel Post was significantly cheaper than a train ticket. For families struggling to make ends meet, it was a matter of practicality over sentimentality. This isn't to say that parents were heartless. They took steps to ensure their children's safety. Children were often mailed with trusted postal workers or accompanied by someone they knew. Still, the practice highlights the resourcefulness and perhaps desperation of people living in a different time. Section 6. Strange then, stranger now. The idea of mailing children might seem shocking, even comical today. It's almost unimaginable to think of putting a child in the care of a postal service. We live in a world of strict child protection laws and readily available transportation. Parents today have numerous options to ensure their children's safety and comfort, but it's crucial to remember that the past operated under a different set of norms and constraints. Back then, rural families had limited means and had to rely on the resources available to them. The story of Parcel Post children offers a fascinating glimpse into a bygone era. It shows how people adapted to their circumstances in creative and sometimes surprising ways. It reminds us that history is full of surprises. What seems bizarre to us now was once a practical solution to a problem. it also prompts us to reflect on how our own norms and practices might seem strange and perplexing to future generations. The things we take for granted today could be seen as odd or even laughable in the future. Who knows what they'll say about our obsession with selfies and social media? Perhaps they'll wonder why we spent so much time documenting our lives online.